Okay, for this question, we've got these two lines that are intersecting, and when those two lines intersect, it creates four different angles. Angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. We're given that angle 4 is 105 degrees. The question is, what is the measurement of angle 2? All right, so the skill here is vertical angles. In fact, these angles that are kind of on opposite sides of each other are called vertical angles. So angle 4 and angle 2 are vertical angles. Also, angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. So anytime you have, again, these two lines intersecting, it creates opposite angles called vertical angles. So 4 and 2, 1 and 3. Now, it's as simple as this. The rule is vertical angles are always going to be congruent, meaning they have the same measure, which means if this is 105 degrees, this is going to have the same exact measurement. So if you know that, then you know the answer is 105 degrees. But if you didn't know that, you could get the idea of a reflection to figure it out. So here's a reflection. A reflection is like a flip. And I remember doing this art project when I was in elementary school, probably about second grade or first grade. And in the art project, we had some paper. We put some paint on one side of the paper. But then what we did is we smushed it like this and opened it up. And then you get yourself a reflection. So a reflection is, again, it's kind of like a flip. Sometimes there are reflections that happen this way. Sometimes there are reflections that happen this way. All right, so this is the idea of reflection. Notice, what's on this side is identical to what's on that side. That's kind of the same idea with these vertical angles. If you can imagine flipping it like this, you could see that angle 4 must be the same as angle 2. They have to match up. Here's another example of reflection. Let's say you've got this side kind of thing there, and you flip this over, and then you've got this. So I'm trying to show you that just like the picture could get flipped, this angle that we created, these angles can also get flipped. So this angle has to match up with this angle. They've got to be the same, which tells us that angle 4 has to be the same as angle 2. So we know that the answer has to be 105. 105 degrees, the same as this 105. All right, so again, if you've memorized that vertical angles will always be congruent to each other, meaning that they're going to measure the same, then you don't need to do all that thinking. You can just go, I know they're the same. But if you didn't, you could use the idea of reflection to think about this, to understand they've got to be the same. Now, what's more is we could actually figure out the angle for 1 and 3, even though those are not going to be the same as 105. But here's what we could do. If we were trying to get the measurement of angle 1 or 3, you might have known this, that a full circle is 360 degrees. Now, if a full circle is 360 degrees, then how many degrees is a half circle? How many degrees is it from here to there? There's a half circle right there. So it's got to be half of 360. It's got to be 180. So if it's 180 degrees to get from here to there, and if we know that this is 105, then this has got to be the other number that's left. It's got to be 105 plus this equals 180, because a half circle is 180. So what number would you add to 105 to make it add up to 180? And the answer there would be 75. So even though they didn't tell us that this was 75 degrees, if they tell us this is 105, we know this has to be 105. We know that these two together have to add up to 180, because that idea of half of a circle is 180. Now that I know that this is 75, angle 3 has to be 75 as well, for a couple of reasons. But one reason is because they're vertical angles, which means they're kind of on opposite sides. So that would be kind of like, instead of doing the reflection this way, you could also do it this way. And so that's kind of how angle 1 and angle 3 reflect to be identical to each other. So again, for this question, we were only asked to figure out this angle, which was pretty easy to do, but they could have really asked us for this one or this one, because we could figure them all out, as long as we understand reflections and maybe vertical angles, and the idea that a full circle is 360, therefore a half circle is 180. All right, there you go.